everyone. All right. I know a lot of you here look at me as the guy, the keep it simple guy. Well, there's a reason for that. Because that's what worked for me. Just like you, I tried to learn guitar twice over the span of almost 3 years. I quit both times after a year, and it wasn't until the third time that things really kicked in. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the things, I call them traps, that I fell into that prolonged my journey and just kept me feeling like a useless beginner for almost 3 years. Yeah, right? Okay, here we go. Let's start here. Number one, do not tackle or take on difficult songs at the beginning. I mean, this one might seem like a no-brainer, but I went through the same thing. I had all these visions in my head of when I was able to learn how to play guitar, I was going to play this song and that song and this song, and I'm going to learn Stairway to Heaven and Hotel California and, Steely Dan songs and, Van Halen songs and, just whatever. Okay, so look, stop that. When you start out, you need to learn easy, simple songs. 2 and 3 chord songs, and more specifically, songs that have very few variations in the chords. So you might have a chord song that just basically goes like this: G, C, D to the G. Now it might stay on the D a couple of bars more. Now, I'm not purposely playing a myriad of songs that we can play with just 3 chords, whether they're G, C, D, or A, E, B, or A, E, D, or whatever they are. I'm just, because of copyright, I don't want to deal with all that. But I just want to show you that it will be much easier moving forward if you start with a simple selection of songs. So you want to avoid any songs that have really quick chord changes, or what they call passing chords, where you really just play a chord just for maybe a beat. So here we're using the C here. This is an A minor, and we're going to go. So you notice how we're playing the A minor and the G quite a bit, but we only go to that C for like one strum. That's called a passing chord, and 9 times out of 10 you can get away without playing that passing chord, all right? So we want to avoid songs that have complicated and very quick chord changes. I don't mean tempo of the song being quick. I'm talking about the chords not being for at least 4 beats in a bar, preferably 8, so that you can really, really get your head around things, like something like 4, 1, 2, 3. See, you got time to think about it. You got time to mentally and physically prepare for the next chord change, right? Now, what that'll do overall, it'll start getting you sounding pretty good as quick as possible. Because, again, we got a lot going on with our brain when we're starting, and the least that we have to think about, the more we can put into developing our physical skills that we need to play this instrument, left hand and right hand, right? Remember the guitar foundation: left hand, right hand, ear, and brain. So the more simple the song, the better you're going to sound faster. And here's the psychology behind it. The quicker you start to feel like a musician and a guitar player, because you're actually sounding at the very least like a basic version of a song that you've wanted to play or that you want to learn how to play, it's going to drive you, right? You're going to get all this energy that you just want to play and get better and better. If, on the other hand, you select a very complicated song that has bizarre chords and changes in it, then it's going to take you longer, if ever, as a beginner, to really get a hold on that song. So you're always going to sound bad. And when you always sound bad, well, guess what happens next? You don't want to play your guitar. So once again, rule number 1, don't take on complicated songs. You have the rest of your journey and the rest of your guitar playing life to take on all those songs when your skill set is up to par. All right, number 2. Don't try to simultaneously learn music or guitar or chord theory. I mean, it's all the same stuff. Don't do it while you're trying to learn this instrument. Why? Because you don't need it. And that's the reality. Remember, probably 80 to 90% of us that try to learn guitar will end up failing and quitting. That's the sad reality, right? And that'll be within a few months. And then people like me last a year, but then finally come to the realization that, hey, maybe this just isn't for me because I'm not getting it and it's quite complicated and it hurts and all that kind of stuff, right? Okay. One of the reasons is we're trying as we go to learn guitar theory at the same time. Google will tell you everything you need to know if you need to know any. And at the beginning, all you need to know is how to play your chords in a simple, effective, productive way. Because that's what will get you playing songs. That's what will get you playing catchy chord progressions. That's what will keep your confidence up and your motivation high. It's really simple. So when you see chords like, C/G or F sharp / add 11 and all these, it's endless. So for example, if you Google or next time you're in your music shop, you look at a chord chart, you will see hundreds of chords. Now these are all just derivatives of the root chord, the main chord, the major or the minor chord. And then many times, all these fancy long chord names, all that means is put one finger here instead of here. Move this finger from here over to here. Okay? That's all that means. So when you see these chords, just play the first letter. So if you have a C/G, which all that means is change the bass note to G. So we're going to end up playing it like this. That's it. That's all that means. Just play the C. When you see a D, sus, 2, 4, whatever, usually that means one finger is not in play. Or you've added a pinky right here. Just play a D. Down the road, when you start to figure things out and your skill level gets a little better, and this is all starting to make a little bit of sense to you, you'll be able to take a look at this type of theory and within minutes, if not seconds, understand completely that if I put my finger here, I have such and such a chord, and I'll use it like this. Right? That's it. I lost so much time trying to figure out my way around all these complicated chords and why I'm playing these chords and why they're this and why they're that. Anybody else is just playing a D. Okay? All right, so that's so important because that will constantly make you feel like a beginner. Whereas if you'd have just played the D and kept going to your other chords, man, your brain is going, hey, Ray, you're getting this. You're doing good. Keep going, buddy. And that's what it's all about, right? Self-gratification and motivation. They live together. All right. Don't get all hung up on different ways to play a chord. Now, what I mean by that is when we start out as beginners, we are led to this part of the neck and we are shown our open chords. And there are 8 of them. 9 if you include this version of the F instead of the bar chord version, right? So it's so important to develop a strong base of the tried, tested, and true component of playing the guitar, and those are open chords. No matter how far in your journey you go, no matter how good you get, you'll always go back to playing a real good old-fashioned 6-string E major chord, or a good old-fashioned beginner's favorite G major chord with all 6 strings ringing out. You'll always go back to that. Okay? So don't feel that you have to start learning bar chords and power chords and triads, because first of all, bar chords are very difficult to play, because as beginners, we don't have the strength in the back of our hands. We don't know all the mechanics that you really have to nail to be able to put yourself in a position to play clean chords and pain-free chords. This will come. Now, this is another one of those techniques that I always recommend. Learn it when your skill set is at its highest, not when it's at its lowest, which it is when you're a beginner. So resist the temptation. And part 2 of this segment, we'll call it a B part. As a beginner, learning on YouTube or any social media platform, you are inundated on your feed with all kinds of tips, all kinds of videos, anything from the usual and mundane right up to the absolutely brilliant and bizarre, okay? Now, it's so important as a beginner, do not fall into that trap where you see something on your feed that is presented by someone who maybe has 20 or 30 years of guitar playing experience, is in a completely different stratosphere than you are when it comes to learning the guitar. Don't think for 1 minute that you are going to sound like them in a day, a week, and maybe even years, and probably not even years. Never mind the fact that we do not know what's coming into our feed that is actually real nowadays, right? At the very least, it could be AI, but generally what it is are people that create these videos and they lay down their audio, they get it just right. It might take them 20, 30 takes, so it's not as spontaneous as they make it seem. And then they might even overdub with effects and studio stuff and all that kind of stuff to make themselves sound really good. And what happens to you as a beginner is it puts it in your head that you have to sound like that. And we just don't. So stop comparing yourself to your internet feeds. All right, so this one here could be controversial, all right? Because I know the snobs and purists out there are going to rain all over this, right? I used to hear all the time, Ray, whatever you do, you make sure you get that metronome on and play to a metronome. Well, guess what? I tried it and it didn't work. And here's what I mean by that. All right, so look, playing in time is, in my opinion, one of the most overused, overrated pieces of advice that anybody could give a new guitar player. Okay, now here's why. It falls into the category of, again, taking on things when your skill set is not able to do it, thus creating more doubt that you already have as a 40, 30, 50, 70-year-old beginner with no musical background. You already have gone into this thinking, hey, this is something I can't do. I want to do it, but I know because I'm not a musician, so I shouldn't be doing this. So every time you try something new and difficult, well, you're going to put doubt in your mind, especially when you don't nail it right away. All right, so playing to a metronome is very important. But what happened with me is I started really early, right? So I got this metronome, a buddy of mine lent it, the old-fashioned tick-tock thing. And I put it on, and I was absolutely useless, which, of course, looking back, I'm going to be, you're going to be, we all are. And I was useless. I was down when I should have been up. I was up when I should have been down. I mean, I couldn't hear the clicks because I was so focused on just being able to survive playing my C and my G that I couldn't even hear the clicks. Because that's what happens to your brain when you're starting out, is you're just hyper-focused on the one task. When at the end of your journey, you'll find that your brain is pretty much not involved at all. When you become a guitar player, you play by feel. You play by comfort and creativity. And you just play. And you don't think about it. Dance while no one's watching. Or like no one's watching. That's what happens when you actually learn how to play guitar. But in the meantime, you got to think about it. And having that metronome on there on day 3, day 7, day 10, day 21, or whatever it was, it just did my head in. And I couldn't do it. All right? And you know what? The truth is this. When you're starting out playing your open chords and learning your favorite songs or learning your 3-chord songs and going through making those 3-chord songs sound like the song that you've heard 1,000 times, you're actually building up a sense of timing. Because you know that you have to move off that C to the D. Because you know the song. You know when you have to move off. So you're already building an internal timing clock without really even knowing it. The reality is most of us that are learning right now to teach ourselves, especially in an advanced age, we are never going to play in a band. We are never going to play on stage in front of people. You know, we probably are never going to play outside of our house. And if we do, it'll be to a bunch of friends and family or, whatever. Like, it's just not going to be a big official thing that everything has to be right. Okay, that's just the reality. And I'm cool with that, right? Okay, so playing in time, when you're on your own, is so irrelevant and unimportant. Ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba. Am I in time? What if I'm not in time? Do you know if I'm in time? You see what I mean? On the other hand, when is timing important? Well, it's a couple of occasions. Right off the top of my head, first of all, if you're going to record music for distribution, you have to be in time, because when it comes time to recording the music and overdubs and adding bass lines and keyboards or other musicians come in to play on your track, everything has to be properly structured for others to play along. The other time is when you're in a band, or even if you're just playing guitar and there's someone with you singing. Everybody in the band, whether it's 2 of you or 5, 6, 7 of you, you all have a responsibility to be at a certain place at a certain time because you're all relying on each other. That's when being in time is crucial, and that's something you can worry about and deal with later on if you even get that far. Learning scales. Does that bring back memories or what? All right, for some reason, and I really don't know why, because again, this is one of those points where when you don't know how to learn something, you just see what others are doing and you feel you have to do that too. And one of those things for me was playing scales, ripping down those, whatever, right? Okay. No sense. You do not need scales. I didn't start worrying about scales for probably 3 or 4 years after I could play songs. Look, think about this. For some reason, we learn the first scale, the A minor pentatonic, first position. And we learn it right here, right? That's the first position. And I really don't know why. But I didn't know, didn't question it, so here I went. Now, I wasted probably 3 months learning this scale. And then I realized, well, I don't even know what the notes are because I learned 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8. Like, I don't even know what the notes are. Yeah, I can go up and down, up and down, up and down, in order, everything in perfect order. But I don't play my guitar here. I play my guitar here. And I have not the skill set or the mental capacity, remember this? Okay? To be able to play a G, play a C, and then have all of that skill set to be able to come down and rip off a little lick in the A minor pentatonic first position. Forget it. There's another few months that I wasted. Don't waste your time learning scales until you're at the point in your journey where you want to start playing licks, riffs, solo. It really is getting to that point where that's what you're driven to do. That's when you start learning your scales. And that's when you'll have the foundation to back it up. Your fingers will have some movement and flexibility and dexterity in them. You'll have your coordination between the two hands for the picking. It's all going to come together real fast. So don't learn scales as a beginner. It just confuses you and it sets you back. Wow, all these things not to do. All right, those are things that for me, they just stunted my growth. They just added to the frustration because, again, I wasn't physically and mentally ready to take on these advanced techniques, and that's what they are. Don't kid yourself, right? Now, years later, when I wanted to and I was ready physically to take on these techniques, rest assured, bar chords, triads, scales, all just came really easy because I'm no longer a beginner with the guitar. All right? That's so important to remember. Build your skill level, then take on more difficult things. All of these things that I'm telling you now not to do eventually will make you, well, a better and more versatile guitar player. There's no doubt about it. So the snobs aren't wrong. However, it all depends on what your goal is. And if your goal is just to play some songs, have some fun, keep it simple, and you'll get there in no time, like I finally did. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what I have to say, you think I can help you, you want to say thank you, just hit that subscribe button. It's the best way. It actually tells YouTube I might be a somebody after all. And at the end of the day, remember, there's only one way to get better on guitar. Just play your guitar. See you later.